Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Yeah.
You gotta believe and invest with your heart. Orange and blue till Mets do us part. Spring training, oh yes, it's the start. City Field gritty till Mets do us part. Hit home runs and knock it out the park. Big Apple till Mets do us part. You gotta believe and invest with your heart. Listen to the show till Mets do us part. John from Brooklyn, Gibby reps NJ. We're the other team, I don't care what your friends say. Mets fans, we focus like a sensei. Listen to the podcast Monday, Wednesday. Made a couple bad plays, but we still won. Character, yup, we're gonna build some. Are you gonna check the pod? It's real fun. Just like Mookie, I will sign. So invest with your heart. Orange and blue till Mets do us part. Spring training, oh yes, it's the start. City Field gritty till Mets do us part. Hit home runs and knock it out the park. Big Apple till Mets do us part. You gotta believe and invest with your heart. Listen to the show.
Available now on all streaming platforms. If you love the New York Mets, check out Till Mets Do Us Part. Enough rapping. Let's get to yapping.
Yo, welcome into another episode of Til Mets Do Us Part, live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Substack, like we are each and every single Wednesday, right around 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The Mets cooperated as far as our show is concerned. They didn't go into extra innings. The game ended unceremoniously and frustratingly, and we'll talk about that, even though we don't get bogged down with individual games in a lost season on July 22nd. But I digress. John Saponaro out in North Hollywood, California, and that means that my co-host Matt Ibanez holding things down back in New Jersey. And I should mention this more often at the top. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I don't know what you're waiting for. It is the best way to become a full-fledged participant in the show, because the only way for you to comment here in the live stream is to be a subscriber. And if you're subscribed, you might as well put notifications on so you never, ever, ever miss an opportunity to go live with Ibby and myself on Til Mets Do Us Part. That said, Ibby, how are you feeling today?
John, I'm feeling okay. It's nice out. The weather's good. Work's been going well for me. No complaints in that department. It was just my daughter's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday to Scarlett, turning 4, who obviously made her second day, or her second appearance ever on the show last week when we ended, which was pretty funny. But yeah, happy birthday to her. And other than that, yeah, the Mets stink. There's nothing. I mean, there are a couple of good things to talk about, but predominantly bad. And we're already in full-fledged sell mode and sell talks and trades and all the nonsense that has gone on over the last week, John. There is so much, and we're going to get into it. And there's things that you're going to get off your chest. And I know you've been going at people nonstop on Twitter. I have not engaged all that much, though. I did put out a video on our Twitter, on our TikTok, on our YouTube, about 3 minutes long, talking about Francisco Lindor.
Did you get a lot of traction? Eviscerated?
I got a lot. When I tell you, I got traction, especially on the TikTok side. I got a lot. It's the most comments we've ever had on a video to this point, where I ended up getting like 250 plus likes, but 150 comments on it. And I was going back and forth with a lot of people. Some happy, some with me, some very angry, some people jumping into my Twitter comments and my mentions telling me that I don't know ball and they got to get rid of this guy, and Bo Bichette's thing. Somehow Bo Bichette got brought into a talk on Francisco Lindor. It was an entire thing.
You know what's really funny about this, Ibby? You know what's really funny? We'll save, because I try to like keep the conversations tight. It's so funny to me. Bo Bichette is either dragged into the Lindor conversation in one way or the other. Bo Bichette stinks. Lindor stinks. Both things objectively untrue. And Bo Bichette catches like strays in the Lindor conversation. Or, no, John, no, Ibby, the solution right under your nose. Trade Lindor for, quote, whatever you can get and play Bo Bichette at shortstop. And these people want to tell you and I that we don't know ball, when both things are completely opposite, and yet they could not be more wrong. It's like as far around as you go, eventually you just touch back at the middle down here. Yep. And it's just like, yeah, you guys are so far apart on where your thinking is for Bo Bichette that you've circled back around and you're standing side by side in, I don't know, fucking Idiotville. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no, of course. And of course, all things considered, all of that nonsense, which we'll get into, so I don't get banged for this later on. I don't get told. I didn't. Yeah, pause. I don't get yelled at, if you will, later on for not saying it is Wednesday. The red light is on. Let's do our best to have some fun.
Let's do it indeed. Just under 50 folks joining us for what I tweeted out was the post show for the quote unquote Beatty game, which we'll get into probably at the start, because again, these individual games don't necessarily matter. But when we follow a game like we are today, especially immediately after, I mean, the game ended like 20 minutes ago. So we'll give our thoughts on it. I watched most of it. I listened to some of it. Basically, I digested the entire game. I know that you were at work and you didn't get the opportunity. We'll talk a little bit about it. But anyway, quick shout out to the chat. We have Pantrice, we have Ethan KL, we have Corey making his return to the show saying, whether you use a real name or a nom de plume, stand behind what you say and have civil discourse. Right, John? Corey and I had a little case of mistaken identity with Corey, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. You got to understand, Corey. I think Steve Cohen said it best. Twitter's a minefield.
That it is.
A lot of people in my mentions.
John's always got his hands up. He's always ready. He's always ready.
People in my replies, whether you can argue that I bring it on myself or not, or whatever the case is, it's how I interact, whatever. Ibby, you do know there are a lot of people with like accounts that are hidden, that are, you know, not, and I don't want to say hidden because Core's not hidden, but there are just accounts that are anonymous that say a lot out of pocket stuff, and I don't know, and I didn't know that it was Corey, and so I didn't know how to take it. But anyway, we talked about it. It's all good. Shout out Corey for being here. Bert Toast is with us. Edward Wall. Who else? Brad is here. Armand is amazing. Is here. Brian is here. Tony HVAC is with us. I said Pantrice, right? Yes, Pantrice active in the comments early on. Joshua likes graham crackers is back saying, hey guys, it's been a while, been busy, haven't had time to join the stream. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're doing well as well. Yeah, that sounds right. Joe DeMayo is here. Joe DeMayo, John's been going at people. The sky is blue. Water is wet. The day that ends in Y, etc., etc., etc. I had a little DM with Joe earlier. We were talking about some stuff, and then I messaged him back. I was like, Joe, stop distracting me. Leave me alone. I'm trying to listen to the Mets pod, which was true. He DM'd me as I was listening to the show. I had to listen because, you know, it was Connor's return. So
Connor's back,
that I got in on that particular show. No, all jokes aside, welcome to Joe. Who else? Stevie Mack is here, and that will do it for the live commenters. But we've already got more viewers than we did when we started, and I'm sure we will get more commenters along the way. Ibby, let's talk about Brett Beatty. And look, I know a lot of this is not on Beatty, but you know I'm not a fan of Beatty, so obviously I'm going to be a little biased here. I don't understand the fascination with putting Brett Beatty in right field. Now, does one error a game lose? No, I guess you win as a team, you lose as a team, you play as a team, blah, 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 blah. I mean, he did give up 3 runs on what was a catchable fly ball to right field, and the Mets lost by 1 run, but you know, whatever, I digress. Look, I don't understand the fascination with playing guys out of position. And I know that's been a hot button topic for the David Stearns led Mets, but Ibby, I think it's fair to say there's something different about Bo Bichette, bad shortstop, pretty good athlete, saying, I think he can slide over a few feet to his right and play third base and be rewarded by that, versus, hey, Beatty's a good third baseman. He could probably play second, right? Well, yeah, I guess he can kind of play second. Well, if he can play second, he can maybe play first, right? Well, he can't really play first. Well, if he can play those positions, it's a good chance he can just play right field, right? Like, no, not necessarily. Like, it's like making a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. Like, eventually, you're going to get something that just looks weird. And the Mets are in a spot right now that, and a lot of people tweeted this out, and I tweeted something similar, got some traction because I called Beatty something that I've called him before. But anyway, people have said the Mets are as healthy as they've been all season. They're rostering Juan Soto, AJ Ewing, Carson Bench, Luis Robert Jr., Tyrone Taylor, and I'll add maybe to a lesser extent, though I don't think he'd be good at it, Jared Young, who can even play some corner outfield, who has like experience as a corner outfielder. And they decided, you know what we should do? Let's play Brett Beatty in right field. Let's pick the worst option in right field possible. And it cost them near immediately. And it's not Monday morning quarterbacking at this point because people tweeted it out when the lineup dropped. There were so many people, too many to even mention by name, but accounts that you and I interact with, accounts of people who have been on this show and been in the comments, and they're like, why is Beatty playing right field? And sure enough, second inning cost Christian Scott 3 runs, also on his earned run average, by the way, because you can't rule that an error. And he does effectively cost the Mets the game. Okay, he hits a home run. He gets one of the runs back. But I did tweet it out too that like, okay, he's got to drive in 2 more runs before he can get back to just being net neutral for this game. And I don't understand it. Look, again, he's going to catch a lot of vitriol from me because I don't like him as a ball player. But beyond, he's not writing his own name in the lineup. So whether it's Andy Green or his coaches or the front office or some combination of all of it, I don't understand this fascination with Brett Beatty playing the outfield over guys who are much better at it than him and playing right field specifically when left field would be the easier landing spot if you're going to put him anywhere in a game like this. And it's just so frustrating. Look, the games don't matter. I don't really care if they won or lost today, but that's a winnable game. And he cost the young pitcher. He cost the team. And it's confounding that a team run by a guy like David Stearns at the top would make this many constant confounding choices.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, like you prefaced before, I didn't get a chance to watch the game, and I was asking you before, how bad was this play where he misses this ball? But regardless if it was by a couple of inches or a country mile, the fact remains that he should not be out there. And yes, I've defended Brett Beatty on this show over the years, but I also said to you that, when we were talking about this in the offseason, that of all the options that this team had, whether it was on the team to start on the initial 26 or what we saw that was going to be coming up, I said to you that there's no reason why Brett Beatty should be in the outfield. Like, I understood third base, obviously, second base, even first base. But I said there's no reason for him to be in the outfield. There's plenty of options here. And then you just laid it out for today, that there's plenty of options for today. In today's specific game, to be in the outfield, even if you want to give Soto the day off, which is what they were trying to do. And you got Tyrone Taylor. Like, I don't care about the numbers in that sense. Like, you should be playing your best defenders then, as opposed to thinking that Brett Beatty is this all-world bat, which we all know he has not been. Has he hit better lately? Sure, but at the same time, it hasn't been all that great. So it doesn't make sense to me why we're just continuously shoehorning him into the lineup or in the outfield specifically, when if you want him in the lineup, you can put him at a place that makes a lot more sense defensively, like second base. Or if you're doing something with Bo on a given day or his legs are hurting him, that being Bo, then you want to put Beatty at third. Like, there are ways for it to make sense, even though we all think that Beatty hasn't been all that great, which, again, I understand. But anything is better than the outfield. He should not be out there. Not when you have guys that are actual outfielders. I don't know what we're trying to prove. And I know there were some comments that I did star off that I laughed at. I just think that, where are we? Obviously, we got Josh here saying that putting Beatty in the right field, keeps the tank up, which is obviously a good one. But it's confusing to me because what I was told from David Stearns for the longest time was about speed, winning on the margins, having great defense. And when I see Brett Beatty in right field, that's not it. Like, that is the furthest thing from what I was picturing, what this leadership would be providing to the Mets. And instead of getting what I thought was better defense and a better overall scope of a team and a franchise moving forward, I'm getting more, I hate to say it, more LOL Mets stuff, because you're setting yourself up for it because you're putting Brett Beatty in right field.
Yeah, look, Burnt Toast says Beatty, next manager, which is a good one. Look, Ibby, I want to go back to something that you and I talked about months ago on this show when Juan Soto got hurt. I said, if Soto was injured with the calf and was day-to-day, at the time, the way the Mets roster was set up, if Beatty going to the outfield was what they thought the best option, and it was just going to be a day or two, putting him in right field where he played some in spring training, and the Mets' logic was he was, quote-unquote, most comfortable there, I have no issue with that. You're filling in a game or two. I still don't like it, but I understand the logic. Once Soto goes on the IL and misses over 2 weeks, the idea that Carson Bench, the better outfielder, the natural outfielder, the guy who is best suited to play right field, the guy who you cleared the deck for all offseason and created runway so that he could be your right fielder, up to and including acquiring Luis Robert Jr. so that Carson Bench could play right field and not center field on a regular basis. He's the one who should have been in right field. Beatty should have had to have learned left field because it is easier. Isn't that why? And easier in Citi Field, and easy is a relative term, but isn't that part of the logic, Ibby, of why they asked generational talent and superstar Juan Soto to move from right field to left field? But for Brett Beatty, we're going to make him play right field? So that was crazy enough. And I get it. That's old news. That's months ago. That has no bearing on today. But I tweeted something similar in reply to, it was Draft Neck Mark, where it's like, that was annoying to me enough. That was insane enough. But now on July 22nd, you're going to make that choice with the roster constructed the way it was after Beatty has already shown you he's cost them runs in the outfield before. This is not new. So why would you do that? And look, I understand Burnt Toast's point here, which Todd Zeal said, paraphrasing, showcase for a trade.
But that's you're not showcasing him for the outfield. If someone's trading for him, if someone's trading for Brett Beatty, they're going to put him at the spot where his numbers dictate he's the best, which is third base. I don't understand what putting him in right field proves at all. If anything, it proves nothing. Him a little bit. It doesn't prove anything.
And this is not a harsh response to Burnt Toast, because it's honestly, it's not even their message. It's Todd Zeal's messaging.
It's Todd Zeal, yeah.
But Ibby, I'll second it by pulling up this one from Marcus. In the mind of Stearns, Beatty equals McNeil, but this is fiction. Now, you and I talked a lot about McNeil before he was gone at the end of last season, about how McNeil was, at one point in his Mets tenure, a true super utility guy. McNeil, at the point when the Mets decided to get rid of him, had basically fallen to the point where he was an average to slightly above average second baseman, and his ability to play in left field, in right field, center field was insane, but in the corner outfield spots wasn't as good as it used to be. He even took a step back. McNeil was at that point living off of some old data and some reputation in terms of being a super utility guy, just because he got a little older, he got a little slower, whatever. But even with that being the case for McNeil, it's true that he could go out there in right field and was not going to cost you most of the time. You weren't going to have to sit there and worry about him. And this idea that you can just turn Brett Beatty into, Jeff McNeil 2.0, whether you're talking about the true super utility version of Jeff McNeil from a couple of years ago, or even the diminished version, which would have been better than Beatty in the outfield, is crazy to me. Like, why are they trying to square peg round hole everything? And that goes back to what you were saying before. It's like, we want to be done with LOL Mets. This ain't how you beat the fucking rep. Yeah. Brett Beatty in the tank, driving the tank. Brett Beatty
driving the tank right there for you. It was Bert who said that, or whoever it was. Joshua, I made that for you real quick. But yeah, driving the tank. letting everyone know that we're clearly heading in the wrong direction. And I know I just started off a comment from Joe in the chat, and I'm going to
Really?
bring it up right now, saying
Yeah.
how Luis Robert is a showcase and Brett Beatty is not. Maybe to John's chagrin, I would bet that Beatty is on the 27 Mets, and I'm sure to the chagrin of Carson as well. But I too think that you're going to end up with Wait, should we get it right? There we go.
I figured it out.
I do think that Beatty is going to be here because of the lack of talent available or readily available for second base, and what's going to go on with Marcus Semien. Look, I don't think he's going anywhere, that being Semien, but I think they want to have options, and I think you're going to see more of Beatty at second base next year because of the lack of anyone else to bring up. Mitch Voigt isn't ready. Elian Payne is not ready. Wandy Segan's not ready. Like, all these names that are there, they're not ready. So you have to have someone, unless you plan on bringing somebody in from free agency, which we still don't know how that's going to end up going. But I just think that Beatty is safe in that sense because he's shown that he can play second base. But again, why he's in the outfield right now, I really don't fucking know.
It just makes no sense. And like Joe's right, much to my chagrin, Beatty is probably going to be on this team in some kind of a role. But part of the reason why, jokes aside, Ibby, and blatant hate for Beatty aside, to you, to Joe, to everybody listening, to everybody watching, part of the reason why I don't want Brett Beatty on this team is because I don't want to watch this anymore. Like, there's that adage in sports where sometimes you have to protect the athlete from themselves, right? Guy wants to be tough. Guy wants to play through an injury. You got to tell him, hey, you got to sit down. Come on. Like, now's not the time. Live to fight another day, whatever. Like, I need the Mets to be protected from playing Beatty in every single situation. He's not a good enough bat to justify getting his bat in the lineup to begin with. So why you're force feeding him out of position this egregiously makes no sense. And yeah, Joe, being in the outfit is muy stupido. Like, it's true. It's bad. It's just, it defies all logic.
I know sometimes we like to cross over with our wrestling fandom and wrestling audience that does join us from time to time in here. It does feel like Beatty is the act that is constantly just shoved down your throat. Like, you're gonna like him now. You're gonna like him. Like, can we let this be a little more? Or nope, you're gonna like it now. This is the guy you're gonna like. No, you're gonna like it. Like, I don't know if I really like I don't like it at all. Like,
blue contact lens Roman Reigns.
Yes, blue contact, big dog. This is
big
my
dog
yard.
Roman Reigns.
Big dog Roman Reigns. Like, this is my yard nonsense. We're in the Rumble in 2015, which was an absolute joke. I was in the crowd for that, by the way, which is incredible. But winning that Rumble, like, that is what it feels like. It's just constantly trying something different, but the result. And I know, again, I've defended Beatty before, and I think that it's getting to a point where even I'm sitting here like, what the fuck, man? Like, come on. Like, what is this?
It just doesn't make any sense. Like I said, it defies all logic. And Marcus, thank you for replying to what we were saying when we pulled up your comment. And just to be clear, Marcus says, I'm not saying McNeil should be on the Mets. I'm simply saying Brett Beatty will never be as good as Jeff was at any time. Sorry if it came off that way. I wasn't saying that you were. But, right. And I agree with you. Like, Jeff McNeil has had better years as a Met, Ibby, than I think at this point it's fair to assume Beatty will ever have. And so, and there was a point in time where McNeil's true value was the fact that you could put him anywhere and he would give you average to maybe slightly above average defense, so he wouldn't cost you. And Beatty has cost them so many times, and it just feels like it's happening at you. It feels like it's happening to you, and you're just like, I feel like anybody with a brain knows to not do this. And I know people are going to bang the drum. We talked about this with Joe DeMeo when he joined us last week. People are going to be like, analytics. What fucking analytics are going to tell you to play Brett Beatty? There's not an analytic in the world that's going to tell you to play that man in right field. There's not a bit of information that is going to tell you that that's a smart idea. There isn't.
I know. And I agree with Joe, like with what we just said about Beatty most likely being here because of the lack of depth and why he'll probably fit in at second base in a semi-platoon, if you will, with Semien, because Semien's not going to go anywhere. But I know people in the chat are saying this too, and I agree with them at the same time. And it's, you get to a point where you have to wash your hands of things. And I feel like the Mets are at this point now, especially after the season here, where you put so much faith in certain players, and that being the back end, that being Alvarez, that being Beatty, that being Vientos, to a much lesser extent Mauricio, but really those front three. And I know Alvarez is a different category, but with those two, like I wholeheartedly understand where fans are just like, can we just please be done with this 5-6 year old project? I don't want this anymore. I want something different. And I'm pretty sure whatever that different is probably going to be better. I know it's tough to say that when you're a Mets fan, because a lot of times you don't think things can get worse, and it does get worse. But I just think that it is time, even though I do believe Beatty will at least be one of the guys that does return because of depth reasons, unless they find something else via trade. But I do think that it's time to just be like, thanks, but it's time for us to move in a different direction.
Ibby, and I really don't want to spend any more time on Beatty, but just the wider conversation here for a moment. When you talk about for like depth reasons, right?
Yeah.
If Beatty, like if you're the Mets and you're dead set on like, we want a super utility type of player, instead of banging your head against the wall over and over and over again, trying to convince yourself that Beatty can fit that mold, why not look at the objective information in front of you and say, Beatty is a third baseman who can kind of play second base. Let's try to trade him for whatever we can get, and then sign a proper utility player. Like Carson said this literally as I was saying it. Sign Jorge Mateo or some shit to cover that depth then. It's a fucking torture chamber. He sucks. He's not good. He's not a major leaguer. Let it go. And Carson's saying it harsher than I just did. But like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, Ibby, there are players who are known for playing around the diamond. Hell, the Mets had some of them, and we made fun of it because they were quad A players with Andy Ibanez and Vidal Brujan and this guy and that guy. But like,
you mentioned my brother off the bat. Come on, man.
But Ibby, that's what Beatty is anyway. Beatty's a below league average bat anyway. Beatty's a 4A player anyway. And he can't actually play these positions. There's a guy you could, now I understand that like some of these guys will be quote unquote more expensive than Brett Beatty, but like you have Steve fucking Cohen as the owner. Spend $5 million and get a guy who can play all over the diamond. Like, I don't understand this logic of like, well, it's got to be Beatty. Every team needs a guy like that. First of all, every team doesn't need a guy like that. Not if he's not good at it. And then if you really want that guy, go fucking pay for one. Stop pretending it's Brett Beatty. He sucks. I think Tony HVAC is being tongue-in-cheek here by saying, but Beatty had a good month last year. Like, yeah, like, that's it. It's just like this thought process doesn't make any sense to me. Like, get a guy who could do the job and play around the diamond if it's that important to you. Instead, they're like, well, it could be Brett Beatty. And everybody's like, I don't think it can be. And they're like, well, when you see him out there, like I just, so that's the thing that really
I was just looking. I was just looking at some of the names that are available, and look, it's slim pickings in general for infielders, utility types for next year. It's a very weak free agent class all around the diamond. When you're looking at like Isaiah kind of Falefa, IKF, like there's not much. In terms of things that make sense, but like, I
even IKF makes more sense for what we're talking about,
right? Because he's someone that actually can do that. Yes, and we have enough outfielders you shouldn't have to worry about in that sense. And we're not, believe me, chat, we're not trying to make it seem like IKF is like this must-have or whatever, but it's just trying to prove a point of there are other options that you can go for.
Odd villain bringing up Willie Castro.
Oh, I love Willie Castro. But like always thinking like, and I've said this before, like you you want your farm to save you money. And I know we always think Steve Cohen has to say money, just go out and get things. And in this case, yes, you can just go out and get something that fits a given need. But there are still teams, and the Mets are clearly one here, where they're saying, like, we're going to allow our process to allow our, our farm hands, the ones that have come up that have proven to be major league players, that we're going to pay this much, as opposed to having to spend, even if it's on the conservative end here, even if it's, $6 million for 1 year, $12 million for 2 years, to have said player who's 32 going on 33 to be our utility guy. We can pay Brett Beatty pennies, and we're going to get similar output because that's what the numbers tell us. That's probably what it's like. And I get it to an extent, but I've also watched the player for a handful of years. And it's like, all right, man. Like, there's no consistency here, Look, and again, not an outfielder.
No, and your thought process is solid, what you're describing. But, Ibby, that would be an okay excuse if it was one season. It's five fucking years of this guy.
Yeah.
Like, so, and that's why David Stearns can't beat the allegations that, like, he doesn't know what he's doing. Because how are you watching? Okay, so Stearns wasn't here for all of Brett Beatty's tenure, right? But, like, Stearns has been here now for 3 years of it. You're watching this guy and you're like, yeah, you know what? He could probably play right field. I told you before we went live, I wouldn't let him play right field on my fucking softball team the way he went after that ball today. I would bench my brother if he went after a ball like that. Like, that's fucking terrible. And I don't have a brother, so it's okay.
I was just going to ask. I didn't know you had a brother.
No, I don't have a brother. I would bench my sister, and I have a little sister, and she's great. And I would bench her for making a play like that. No, it's just like, dude, it's crazy. Like, Noah, who I believe is a new or new-ish commenter, Noah _ F94. Welcome to the show. If you are new, welcome back. If we've missed you before as a commenter, 69 errors this year, boys.
Nice.
Like, nice. Oh, to Stevie Mac.
Nice.
But it's just like, yeah, man, I don't understand it. I just don't get it. Odd Villain saying what I'm thinking. Beatty can go convert people to Mormonism on the streets. Like, I don't understand. That's all. And there's a couple other comments I had starred from earlier as we turn the page on this. Tony HVAC said, I'd rather see Beatty in Miami. Honestly, I'd rather see Beatty on fucking Mars. I don't even want him playing on this planet anymore, but whatever. I agree. Get him off this team. Brian saying, I was fine with the Beatty experiments at right field and first base, but it should be clear now that he actually can't handle either position. Second base, third base only, unless there's an injury in a game.
Which is fair.
That is a very succinct way to put it. Like, listen.
Which is very fair.
Remember the game we had Travis d'Arnaud play third base and second base and third base and second base and third base and second base based on who was up because there were injuries and the Mets were down to the last person on their bench? Yeah, if that's what you have to do, like, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you get a guy who has no business being in a spot, playing a spot. All good. That should not be starting the game. So Brian's spot on here. And then Pantrese, I think it was the first comment we got right before we went live. Such a winnable game if Beatty was not a complete fuck up in right field, gifting the Brewers 3 runs. But you have to give everyone playing time for potential trades. Utility infielder? Yes. Stop putting him in the outfield. But I agree. I think that last bit is negated by the fact that, like Joe said, Joe DeMeo, like, Ibby, he's not getting traded more than likely. He should.
Yeah.
But he's probably not. So this idea of showcasing him is just way off base.
Speaking of Joe, while you guys debate the Mets 2027 backup infielder, I'm wondering if they should trade Francisco Lindor. Do you want to go from one side of stupidity to a complete other side of stupidity? Because I'm ready for it.
I suppose
I'm ready to fly off the handle here and talk about the bullshit and nonsense that's been going on over the last week or so about our shortstop named Francisco Lindor.
Let me just bring this up from Odd Villain. I'd rather see Beatty in the Congo. Get him the fuck out of here. I'd rather see Beatty in the movie Congo.
Keep that one starred. I like that one.
That's how bad. Have you ever seen the movie Congo, Ibby?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Okay. That movie is fucking bad. That Brett Beatty is the theatrical film Congo of baseball players. That's how bad he is. I believe that is I believe that was a Michael Crichton book. The same guy who wrote Jurassic Park wrote the book that the movie Congo is based off of. And I'm unsure if the book is titled the same as the film, but apparently the book is excellent and terrifying. And boy, if they did not fuck that up horribly. That movie probably came out in like 1995, 1997. It is so embarrassingly bad. I don't know. I feel as though, yeah. Okay. Thank you. I feel it. It was Crichton did write it. Scary AF. Burnt toast. You don't like primates that communicate with humans. I think that's the one thing there are two things for sure I remember about that movie. I mean, Tim Curry is in it. A legend. Tim Curry.
Love Tim Curry. Yeah.
Fantastic actor. And I don't know how they got him in that movie. And I remember the one like ape that they're talking about, that Burnt Toast is talking about, who did like sign language and then had like a voice box attached to the sign language. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Okay. So those are the two things I remember about that movie. That, and I guess the third thing would be it fucking sucks. Anyway, so that's why it compares to Brett Beatty. So shout out to primates communicating with humans is basically Mets Twitter. Oh
Star
my
it.
God.
Star it.
Star it. What the
Star it. That might take it already.
It does. That's my pick.
That I mean, I might double up on that one then, because that's a great one. Odd. That is fantastic.
Odd villain.
That is fantastic.
I wish we had the like.
I'll write it.
I wish we had. I wish we had the hip hop air horn sound just loaded up, because my God, Odd Villain. I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back up. That is so spot on. What a comment. Yeah, Armand saying Odd wins hands down.
Oh my God. The first mid show.
Funk Master Flex soundboard. Funk Master Flex night.
Dropping bombs on him. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. We're done. We're done. So,
oh my God, Keith coming in.
Keith.
Using berry juice to write mock trades on cave walls.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my Jesus.
God. Too fucking funny, guys. Good to see you, Keith. Good to see you.
Shout out, Keith. Okay. Let's, I guess, talk about
let's
Francisco Lindor.
Let's do it.
And the stupidity.
The Lindor lunacy.
Oh my God, dude. Mouth breathing, window licking idiots. Like the people that have tried to give me any semblance of a rebuttal to the fact that trading Lindor makes no sense is insane. Like I cannot find one in there that makes any sense, because the people just want to throw out these wild takes. They want to say, trade him for, somebody said to me, trade him for whatever you can get. Whatever, or then I challenge people, hey, you want to trade him? Tell me a team. Tell me the prospects. Tell me which money gets exchanged hands. Do the Mets eat down the contract? Then after that, tell me who plays shortstop in 2027 and probably 2028. If you can give me all of that, I'll say, okay, you know what? That's a reasonable. You got people. Somebody told me, trade him to the Yankees for Ben Rice. Somebody said, trade him to the Yankees for Ben Rice or Cam Schlittler. What? So the Yankees are just going to, the Yankees who have, I don't know, like 9 $30 million players are just going to trade you their two best players that make no money. doing? Anyway, I'm just gonna walk away from the microphone and let you say your piece on Francisco Lindor, because I can't fathom these people. I cannot.
I felt like the video that I put out, a handful of days ago, I thought broke down very much my overall feelings, and I'll try to recap it here. And it's just, I had said on this show last week or 2 weeks ago now, like when we were first hearing these rumblings, if you will, that I understood why Francisco Lindor's name was not on the 5 names that we had mentioned here that should be on the no trade, which then Chelsea Jane ends up putting out her article saying those same 5 names, which again, Juan Soto, Carson Benj, AJ Ewing, Noel McLean, and Christian Scott. Like, I understood why Lindor wasn't on it. It's age, it's you put something out there, and like, hey, you can listen. There's nothing wrong with listening, but you better bring it, because we still believe this is a top tier player. Injuries, notwithstanding, back-to-back 30, star shortstop, still within his prime, 32 going on 33 years old. So it's like, if you want to talk ball here, what are you going to offer me? And then you listen, and then it's like, no thanks, hang up. I have no problem with that. So that's what a GM or president of baseball ops should do in any situation.
And just to be clear,
yeah.
Just sorry, because I know I've said a lot about how I think it's insane and stupid and all this stuff. I agree with you on that. I don't think it's insane to pick up the phone when someone calls and asks you, because yeah, he is a little bit older than what you would like. If he was 27, it would be absurd. At 32, you can
also understanding the market and not knowing what's real and what's not when it comes to rumor and conjecture and things that are put out there. It's like, is this guy really upset? Does he not want to be there? Let's put a call in. Like, hey, is Lindor really available? Like, because we might have an offer here. And like, and then you just, if that's your way of starting said conversation, like whatever it may be. But the point is this: if you're not getting back a legitimate package, there's no reason to even think about said deal, because it has to make you better. No matter what the fan base, the angry fan base, the ones that always want to be perpetually upset and pissed off, and they hate Francisco Lindor for a multitude of other reasons beyond baseball, which we all know is the truth. It's beyond baseball. Okay. All those things considered, if you're not getting back something that makes you a better ball club in 2027, then there's absolutely no reason to be trading away this player. Your best bet is to try and win with this player. And it's no excuse. Like, you should be trying to win within, a window with a young Juan Soto and an aging, but still in prime Francisco Lindor. The whole idea was to have this pairing and make it work. So it doesn't make sense to me when I see a fan base that is clamoring and bloodthirsty to get rid of a player the caliber of Francisco Lindor and say things like you mentioned. Oh, get rid of him. He's garbage. He's no good. Get whatever you can get. He's a sinking ship. Like, just get out now. There's no point in doing that, because you're making yourself a worse team. And then you, as the fan saying that, thinks that you want this rebuild or retooling, when you're telling me, and you can't give me names, you want to get rid of a star player because he's no good, he's done, he's washed. Get me whatever. Can you tell me what whatever is? Nah, I can't do that, but just get anything's better than this guy. Is it? Is it really better than Francisco Lindor? Like, the fact that no one has a plan, no one has an idea, no one has any true baseball thoughts when it comes to this, they just think, just get rid of him. Why? What the hell are you getting in return? The fact that you can't tell me these things tells me that you have no idea what you're talking about. I can't get rid of this player for a multitude of reasons, but the fact that you think you can just give this guy away and it's this cut and dry, simplistic thing, it's not. And everyone thinks, whether it's the politics or whether it's the wife or it's the fact that he's Puerto Rican, like all of these things that are said, disgusting things that are said, like it's all, that's why I feel a lot of it's driven from other things, not baseball, because when you try to get into a conversation with people, it strays from baseball. It's other things. And I don't like bringing that like energy to the show, but it's the truth when it comes to Francisco Lindor. A
People-
majority of times when you see that stuff. It
And
is.
you know what's crazy to me, Ibby? People even argued with me that that's a thing, which is so ridiculous. Like, I know, listen, I know when you say certain stuff, it's going to be inflammatory. Certain stuff on Twitter is going to be inflammatory because there is no nuance. And one of the tweets I put out about Lindor was basically like, if you want Lindor traded, it's based on racism, politics, or just the need for a scapegoat for all of this bad season, right? And people automatically latched on, well, I'm not racist. I didn't tag anybody. I didn't say you were. I also said beyond racism and politics was the need for a scapegoat, which has nothing to do with the other two.
Correct.
It has to do with the fact that Lindor is the face of this team, or one of the faces with Soto, or the old face, and now you want to move on to Soto, however you want to say it, and they want to get rid of him because they think that he is the poster child for the lack of success. That has nothing to do with politics, and that has nothing to do with bigotry. But people, oh, well, nobody really feels that way. Really? Nobody feels that way? Let's get Katya Lindor on and see if no one feels that way. So, like, people make arguments over stuff when, like, they know it's a bad faith argument. You know, like, I don't think me saying that about Lindor is inflammatory as, like, people are making it out to be. We need a thumbs down 2.0 badly.
I wish you would. I wish he would have came out and just gave a thumbs down after. What do you go 3 for 3 the other day? Like, dude, I wish he would have just did thumbs down again, and I would have been standing up clapping so much
before today. And I don't have the stats in front of me today, but Francisco Lindor had like 7 hits in his last 3 games, and he was on base 10 times with the hits and the walks. Like, he went 3 for 3.
And didn't his OPS like jump through the roof?
Because of course, because he's played 40 fucking games.
Right. And that's the whole point. It's like you haven't seen him enough, and his OPS jumps through the roof because he hasn't been here.
And that's the other part of this, okay? Like, that's the other thing, because there are so many other avenues to talk about this, right? But people will go, he's hitting 220. He's hit. First of all, batting average, that's what we're citing in 2026. That's an automatic disqualifier when you're citing batting average, when we know it's not the barometer that it used to be. Now, look, batting averages are great when they're spectacularly high or laughably low, right? If a guy's hitting 130, you might want to be like, that's the batting average is pretty important, because I don't think a guy should be hitting 130. If a guy's hitting 350, you'll be like, oh, damn, this guy's really hitting it well. But anything, you know, not anything in between, but like apart from that, these numbers that land in the middle, it's not the barometer that you think it is, one. And then two, when you factor in that he's only played in like 40 something games, how are you gonna sit there with a straight face and tell me that you've been watching baseball your whole life and you realize that he's played in 40 fucking games, and then you're gonna say, and his batting average is low? He's 2 good games away from hitting like 340, you fucking idiot.
I put something up a long time ago that was like a meter of what the Met fan base is, and it was like something along the lines of like love Lindor, or like hate Lindor, love Lindor, blame Lindor, and like I had the meter go to a point where it's like, this is where you are now, and it was like blame Lindor, and then it goes again, like, and then it rolls over to love Lindor. It's like, it's this love-hate relationship that is just truly baffling. I know Carson just said it in the comments, saying how, you know, Lindor will never win this fan base. I wouldn't blame him if he wanted to go into the Hall of Fame as a Guardian with the way this fan base treats him. And we said this in the early episodes of this show, how unfortunately Francisco Lindor was going to live the life of Carlos Beltran at a much, you know, longer, assuming obviously he'd be here for a longer period of time. And he's living the life of Carlos Beltran as a Met, which pisses me off because I hated the way the fan base and the ownership then treated Beltran. And I think the ownership is treating him that being Lindor, better than what Beltran got from the Wilpons. But I still hate the way this fan base treats him. I think it's ridiculous for what he's given to this franchise to this point, and the fact that they think that they can just get rid of him and just you don't need a shortstop. You need pitching. It's like, okay, man. Well, tell me what pitcher you're getting for Francisco Lindor. Who is it? And then they can't name the person, or they'll name something that's like outlandish because they're stupid because they don't actually watch the games, and they're like, oh, go get me Paul Skeens. Like, it doesn't work that way, guy. Like, stop being an idiot.
But the other part of this, and I tweeted about them, and I try not to not that I try not to. Like, there's a lot of people that we collaborate with, and Joe DeMayo and Carson and Keith and stuff like that. We've never worked with Giraffe Neck Mark or James Shiano from Mets Up, but I listen to a lot of Mets content because I just want to know people's opinions. I wasn't joking when I said I listened to the Mets pod earlier today when Joe DeMayo was messaging me. I listened to Locked on Mets. I referenced it. I listened to Subway to Shea. I listened to Mets Weekly. Like, I listen to all these shows. And so, even if it's not somebody that we've worked with and we may never work with, they said some great stuff about the Lindor discourse, and being James and Mark. And one of the things they said was, you look at a player, even if you're going to accept that Lindor is already on the decline, which I don't think is fair to say because he's just had a weird wonky year where he hasn't been healthy. Like, he had off-season surgery on his elbow. Then he got into spring training and he broke his hamate bone. Then as soon as he started finding his timing, he strained his calf and missed another 2 months. And then after a week of rehab games, he came back. So maybe the reports of his demise have been exaggerated, but let's just say, like all contracts that you spend for these top shelf players, it is going to age badly over the last 5 years. And let's say he is already in his decline. Well, if he was like a 5.5, 6-win player at his peak. He was an elite shortstop at his peak. So even if he slips to be a 4.5-win player and an average shortstop, that's still But that's still plenty. That's not a guy you fucking run out of town when you don't have a backup plan. You don't have anybody in the upper minors who can play shortstop. There's no shortstop available in Major League Baseball for you to trade for or sign or whatever until 2029, 2030, if you even get that far. And at that point, whether it's Elian Pena coming up through your minors or it's Ellie De La Cruz on a massive contract when he's a free agent, why can't Lindor be an adequate second baseman for the last 3 years of his deal? He's signed till he's 37, not fucking 57. Like, I don't understand this logic. These are the same people who just couldn't stop tearing their house apart and ripping their hair out that the Mets would get away from Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo. But now, trade Francisco Lindor for anything you could get.
Well, I got
news for you, though. But Ibby, Francisco Lindor is a better player than Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo combined today, yesterday, tomorrow. Best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. He's better than them.
Yeah. But that's another thing that is used in the Lindor discourse where it's, well, it doesn't matter even if you like the guy, but they're not winning. So you get rid of him because you got rid of Alonso and Nimmo too. So you got to get rid of Lindor now too, to keep up the same vibes. Like, you got rid of them and you shouldn't have. So now it's time to get rid of Lindor too. It's like, that doesn't make any sense, man. And he's better than both of them, and you know it. But you don't want to admit that because you like them more. You have your other reasons, whatever they may be. But you're wrong, because Francisco Lindor, to John's point, where he's normally like a 6-win player, if he slips, it's funny because I laugh when you say slips, and he slips to being a 4-win player. Like, that's still a damn good fucking player if he's a 4-win player. It's incredible.
And because the odds are, when you are as physically talented and as athletic as Francisco Lindor has shown us to be, not just in his time with the Mets, but in his time as a Major League Baseball player, Ibby, you usually don't fall off a cliff. There's a reason why the Mets were afraid, whether you agree, disagree. I already said I would have done the deal, whatever. There's a reason why the Mets didn't want to give Alonso the deal that he got because they were worried if he loses the one thing he has, he is a useless player for them. Lindor can slip in a lot of areas and never become a useless player. And people want to cast him aside as if that's what he's going to become. As if he's just going to fall off a cliff one day. He's going to wake up one day and he's going to go from being a 5.5 win shortstop to a negative WAR player. It's not going to happen. Guys like that who are, in Carson's word, superstars, who are elite athletes, their slippage is gradual. And Ibby, that's why I say, let's say the slippage has already started. Let's say he's 75% of what he's been starting next year. Is there a person that is available to play shortstop for the Mets in 2027 that is as good as 75% of Francisco Lindor? The answer is no. You want to get Ha-Seong Kim? Who are you trying to get? Mauricio Dubon? That's what you want to do? That's how you want to replace him? It's just
a comment that I got.
One of the best leadoff hitters they've ever had, and people don't want to hear this, Ibby. The best shortstop in franchise history, and Lindor is going to be in the Hall of Fame. And those players don't grow on fucking trees.
As someone who loved Jose Reyes, it's Francisco Lindor, and I can say that without even flinching. It's like, it's not close. And I loved Reyes. I really did. He was so exciting to watch, but it's Lindor. But yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. The other one that I got was,
Keith is right, bro. This fan base was screaming about Carlos Cortez this season. These people are eating bath salts.
He had a fun 2 weeks. No, the other one that I was going to bring up was to counter what you were saying, or what people in the comments would be saying, especially in some of mine, where it doesn't matter. You can get rid of Lindor for whatever, and then you slide Bo over to short and you play Beatty at third. And I'm like, so we got to do all this to just get Brett Beatty more playing time and get worse at defense with Bo? Like, come on, man.
It doesn't make any sense.
And that turned the entire thing into the Bo not being a great defender, playing out of position. But I'm like, but he's playing well at third base. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
right.
This is what I mean, where it's like, no, like, we're complaining to complain. It's the Joe B. Frank the Tank mindset, because that in itself, unfortunately, is what this fan base gravitates to, because that's what they feel as though that they can claim as their own. That's what, like, we get to bitch, moan, whine, and scream, and that's who we are. Like, that's what it is to be a Mets fan, like being angry, and they confuse that with passion, and it's not passion. It's just being stupid. It's being really stupid.
I think that's true of a couple things. I think that is true of a portion of the Mets fan base, and usually that's the loudest, right? It's the really vocal minority.
Yeah, which is what we all live in. We live in that bubble of Twitter and wherever you get your information.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's true of social media, where you can do that and you don't invite any kind of nuance or anything like that. And that's why this is a bad intersection. Joe Prano, who's been a guest on this show a bunch, Joe Prano's wonderful comic, great Mets fan. I think I've said this before. He said, at one point, he said to me, sports Twitter has become as toxic as political Twitter, because Twitter is just a toxic place now. And
it's beyond toxic. True. It's too much. It's way too much. I barely scroll anymore. It's too much.
It's just insane. And let's try to get, some comments here. First, Lazy Mary, shout out Lazy Mary, just chiming in to say, what's up? Missing the show today. Doing a card show with my nephew. ChatGPT will not save the Mets.
Shout out to Mary for his tweet, like, going viral, for posting that clip on the Adam Ottavino show, where he was talking about the Mets and, the use of the iPads. That really took off for him. So shout out to you for getting that moment.
Absolutely. Odd Villain saying some of what we've been saying. This was from earlier. Same people who hate on Lindor want to give Beatty a chance. Make that make sense. Yeah, basically the roster machinations that you just laid out, Ibby, to somehow give Brett Beatty more at bats and get worse at shortstop. But like you hate Bo Bichette, but Bo Bichette is your shortstop. Like the mental gymnastics to get from point A to point B.
And as someone was just saying in the comments, we'd have to scroll up. I'm sorry, I'm not saying your name, but someone who just said in the comments, that, you know, when Bo was being looked at to be signed by other teams in the offseason, it wasn't to play shortstop.
It was Armand.
It was Armand. Yeah, shout out Armand. Like, it wasn't to play shortstop. He was looking at third, and he showed what he could do at second base on short notice in the World Series. It's like they were looking everywhere else because the metrics weren't that solid, weren't that good for him as a shortstop. And they thought, you know what, this guy can take well to third base, or we could plug him at second base, and it can make more sense. And we like the results we can get with the bat as well. So, again, people just yell to yell. There's no thought. They just see something and like, this guy was a shortstop. He can be a shortstop. Dude. Get Lindor out of here. He fucking stinks. Like,
somebody said to me the other day on Twitter, their reply was, well, put AJ Ewing at shortstop. He played shortstop in high school. And I said, I played shortstop in high school.
Everyone plays shortstop.
Of course. And then the reply back to me was like, well, I think AJ Ewing's probably a better athlete than you are. I was like, okay, well, Mark Vientos also played shortstop in high school.
He did, sadly. Like,
what are you fucking like brain damaged? Like, what is happening? Did you suffer a traumatic brain injury mid-tweet? I don't get it. This is a good one from Armand. Per Sleeper Mets. Francisco Lindor over his last 10 games, 324 batting average, 394 on base percentage with a 983 OPS, 11 hits, 2 home runs, 6 RBI, 4 walks. Yeah, washed. Guys, useless. Useless. Even if he only did that for stretches, Ibby, you know, what are you going to do? You can't go out there and play a 4.5 WAR shortstop. I mean, what are you going to embarrass yourself? Ridiculous. This is a two-parter from M-Easy, and I'm not coming at M-Easy when I respond this way, but says, I would only trade Lindor for the right value, but I would ask who plays shortstop for a winning team like the Tampa Rays. If you build the team correctly, you don't have to have an all-star shortstop. It's just there's no other options to either play shortstop, or then who do you go get? Bo Bichette is going to be the best free agent available. So if you trade Lindor and Bo Bichette opts out and people want to trade Alvarez, who's on this baseball team? Where are you? People think the offense was bad to start the season this year. Who's going to play? Me, you, Joe DeMayo, Carson? Is that the infield?
People don't know what they want, because I had people coming into the comments of that video I posted on our TikTok that got so much traction. I had someone yelling at me saying that they should trade Juan Soto too. Like, what are we doing here? What the fuck are we doing? Yo. Like, I get you're upset that the team stinks this year, but come on, man. Just stop. Wake up.
I've seen lefties play short in high school. This is good too from Keith. AJ Ewing at shortstop in the MLB was said by somebody with an American flag for their bio. So funny. So funny. Like, yeah, John he booed the freaking fans. Oh my God, dude. It's just, and again, M-Easy, I'm not coming at you because I understand what you're saying, and I don't think your logic is flawed. It's just that's part of the conversation is that none of this exists in a vacuum. There is nowhere to go, which is why I bring up this one from Edward, and then I'll see why you're laughing. Edward saying, I'm not a Lindor fan. I'm a Mets fan. If it makes sense and betters the team, I'd listen. Otherwise, STFU, which is fine. But that's Ibby, more than the hate, right? Because I think the hate is overblown and it's ridiculous, and we can say and we can talk about it forever. More than the hate is that there's no pivot. There's no pivot at shortstop. It's not going to make the Mets better in the short term or the medium term. And honestly, for the long term, it doesn't matter because his contract only has 5 years left. There is no long term. It's short term, medium term. There is no way to get better offense. There's no way to get a better shortstop. There's no way to make your team objectively better by trading this player. And so that's why I lump not lump. That's why I pull up Edward and Emmy's comments together. And it's not to say that they're wrong or off base, because I don't think they are. It's just that if you leave the hate aside, there's no avenue where this makes sense. And also, the Mets have said through reporting by Will Salmon that they don't want to eat down Lindor's contract. And of course not, because they still think he's a good enough player. You eat down contracts like Luis Robert Jr., where you say, hey, sunk cost, rest of the $20 million this year, we were going to pay it anyway, to a team that really doesn't have any money, and maybe we can get a better lottery ticket. We'll also pick up the $2 million buyout. It's whatever. It's play money for us. It's not a big deal. You want to pay down Lindor's contract if you think he's still, let's just use my number, a 4.5 win shortstop to go play shortstop in the fucking Bronx and win a World Series? Like, what? Because that's what's going to, like, that's what happens, right? Like, even if you
someone just said in the comments,
he's going to there's only a couple teams that can afford him anyway. So you're going to trade him what? To the Dodgers? You're going to trade him to the Yankees? You're going to trade him to Philadelphia? You're going to trade him to Atlanta and go like,
no, John, pay him.
Pay him?
No, I don't care. Pay the money down, get him somewhere else, get him out of here.
Yeah, this is good from Keith. I love how Yankee fans think their MTA employees in the farm system can get them Lindor. Hysterical.
I was cracking up because Edward really popped me, because again, we talk about like timeliness the last couple of weeks because Burton's been on fire. But as you were saying things and what we've been talking about, trade Lindor, put Beatty in at short, and Alvarez in right field.
Exactly.
Which again, like I wouldn't put it past this team at this point if that actually did happen. But that really popped me. So that was a good one, Edward.
I love this. Oh, sorry. Joe at third base, John at short, Ibby at second. I'll scoop at first base from Carson, but I'll never be as good as to which Joe DeMeo said, I'm more of a second baseman.
Yeah, I think Carson. Me and Joe would switch. I think we would switch on that one. I think we would.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh my God, dude. I took a bad hop at shortstop off the stomach the other day. That was fun. I did make the play. Ball came up, got me, like caught me off the body, just picked it up, threw to first. But man, I got a welt, and it's not fun getting hit with a baseball or a softball or whatever.
No, it is not.
It's never. Oh my God, dude. I'm sorry. I know we have to go into break. So that was on Monday. The previous Wednesday, I normally play at one time slot, and then somebody asked me to sub for their team and play in the later game. Third batter of the game, shortstop on the other team takes a bad hop. The ball hit him right in the fucking nose. Oh. And when I tell you, dude, it was horrifying. He got like cut right here in between the eyes from the laces and the stitches. And then it was just like pouring down his face from his nostril, and from like his nose was destroyed. He looked like he was in a horror film, dude. It was so bad. These fields are no fun. They're absolutely no fun. Carson, Ibby and Joe, second base, third base, second base, like Travis and anyway, let's go into the break.
Yeah.
When we come out of the break, we're not going to talk about Lindor anymore. We will talk about Clay Holmes. We'll talk about Freddy Peralta. We'll talk about some of the other options for the Mets at the trade deadline, and where they're going to go, where they might go, where there's value, where there might be less value or more value than you think. All of that fun stuff. So do not go anywhere. John Saponaro, Matt Ibanez, Til Mets Do Us Part, live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Substack. We will be right back. Yo, just like that, we are back with Til Mets Do Us Part, live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Substack, like we are each and every single week. If you haven't subscribed to the channel on YouTube, you should, because you are missing out not only on the ability to comment on the show, but if you subscribe and you turn notifications on, you'll get a reminder every week. I know we're pretty much here like clockwork. We usually start a little late, but we're here on Wednesdays. We're doing our thing. We're here every week. We take a week off here or there at the end of the season, sometimes around the All-Star break, whatever. But throughout the year, it's John, it's Ibby, it's Til Mets Do Us part. We're usually here. So you can set your clock to it, or you can have the algorithm, you can have your computer remind you for you and take all of the work out of it. If you miss any of the show, you can go back on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Substack and watch whatever you missed, whether you have to jump in late or you leave early, whatever the case may be. And if you can't do any of that, this will drop by tomorrow morning as an audio podcast, wherever it is you get your podcast. So plenty of ways to watch, plenty of ways to listen, but we appreciate it when you're here during the live show, as there are 140 some odd people with us right now. Some of them like to hang out in the background. A lot of them like to interact, and we appreciate each and every single one of you. Ibby, before we get back into the conversation, let's hit them with a quick word from our friends over at Independence Safes.
Absolutely, John. IndependenceSafes.com. Independence Safes are protecting homes and businesses with secure residential and commercial safes. Fireproof peace of mind in every corner. Visit IndependenceSafes.com today for security that stands strong. And that means it's time for our favorite segment of the week. It is time for someone to go into the safe as we throw away the key. Brought to you by our friends over at Independence Safes. And look, I'm not going to get too long-winded on this. We talked about it plenty already. I'm putting into the safe this week the Lindor discourse as a whole. Everyone that was complaining, wanting him out the door, bitching and moaning, not having any type of plan, just speaking haphazardly and sounding like a complete moron. That's as quickly as I'm going to get through it, because I don't want to talk more about it, because it really just gave me the biggest headache this week of all the voices that were being put out there and what they were saying and how just misplaced and dumb it was. So the Lindor discourse as a whole, I am putting it into the safe. I am locking it. I'm throwing away the key. I might melt down the keys at this point and then just chuck that thing into the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Indian, whatever. It's gone.
I'm gonna go in it's a good one. Odd villain. I'm putting the iPad in the safe.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Mets are being run by 11-year-olds. Nasty work. Odd villain said this before we went into break. Said, "R.I.P. that A's players left nut." Damn. Ibby, based on what we were talking about before the break,
does nobody wear a cup anymore? That's another question.
That's what I'm putting in the safe.
Like, what are we doing here?
Wear a cup. I'm putting players at any level, baseball,
cup, man,
softball, slow pitch, modified, U-trip. I don't care. Like, wear a cup, dude. I don't know if you think you're cool, if you think you're tough, if you think it's I've never understood this logic that it's uncomfortable. I don't think it's, I mean, like, if you're a kid, like a little kid, you're like, I don't like it. It feels weird because you're not used to it, whatever.
Right.
Right. Sure. Like, I didn't like wearing it when I was 7 years old either, but like, you get used to it. And the technology is so much better now. You put it on, like 10 seconds later, I don't even realize I'm wearing one. Yeah. I play softball. I play modified fast pitch. I play high arc softball. I play a lot of infield. The ball comes at you fast. The bases are 70 or 65 feet away. Ibby, when I tell you I will not step on the fucking field without wearing a cup, it is insane. I will not even, I will not. And people might laugh at this. I won't play the outfield without a cup on. Because, you know, you play on these fields, like, it's not super.
I'm an outfielder. Yeah, I'm an outfielder a majority of my playing career, and I always wore a cup. Always. Like, I'm not messing around, man. And I played on some shitty fields where the hops were ridiculous, even in the outfield. So, like, that plays a part into it. But still, you wear a cup, you protect your jewels, man. Like, what are we doing here?
I just don't understand why. Noah, they make a cup smaller.
Oh man,
they have AI cups now. They don't, but wear a cup anyway. Don't you want to fucking protect your investment? Like,
my god,
yeah. Like, Odd Villain, I never free balled when I played ball. Burnt toast. The umps don't tap. Like, they don't give you the cup check. Like, I don't get, like, why you wouldn't. There is no, it'd be like, right, there's no benefit to not wearing one. And there's nothing but potential downside of a catastrophic nature to not wearing one.
Yeah, but like you say, you get even as people get older, you get the standard excuses of, oh, it's not comfortable. Oh, I run faster when I don't have this. Like all kinds of stuff like that. It's nonsense. Protect yourself. Don't be an idiot.
This is Burnt Toast. Got thrown out of a high school football game before it started for no cup. Joe DeMayo.
Oh my God.
I didn't just load up. There we go. Joe DeMayo. Gary on the broadcast had me dying. He says the right thing, that he got hit in a sensitive area. Then seconds later says ruptured testicle live on TV. I caught that too. And it's like technically not, it's not vulgar and it's not wrong to say, right? It's scientifically accurate. That's like the medical terminology too. But it's funny. I don't know if you watched that game live. It was yesterday. He takes a pause where he's like, thoughts go out to him and got hit in a sensitive area. And, he could have just said like, had to go to the hospital. And he's just like, got hit in a sensitive area, suffered a ruptured testicle and had to go get emergency surgery. Like, Jesus, bro. Like I had already seen it on Twitter. But like, if you're just seeing that for the first time, hearing that, you're just like, oh my God, what? I'm trying to watch a baseball game, dude.
Oh my God. The comments that are rolling in right now. You guys are fucking killing me right now.
This one busted in a bad way.
In a bad way. You got Burnt Toast just saying, you ever borrow someone's cup from the bench? Like just random, just randomness. Oh my God. You guys are great.
Dude, I once, I'll close up. Let me hold on. Let me put an end to this. Throw away the key segment.
John's gonna land his plane right here. Here we go.
A dude I grew up with. We went to like all of elementary school together and all of high school together, and he lived across the street from the park that all of like our little league games were at, and then eventually like all of our softball games were at. Even our high school teams sometimes practiced at that field because we didn't have we had our field for game days, but we didn't have like the field like outright, whatever. And so anyway, God, we had to be like maybe 10 or 11 years old. And there was like a discarded cup on the ground, and we're walking back with his dad to his house, and he picks it up and he put it over his mouth. It was like
doing Vader.
Darth Vader.
Yeah, doing Vader.
His dad was like, "What the fuck are you?" It was so great. So yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm sharing a cup, but man, oh man, oh man, that's worse. That's way worse. Burnt Toast, what's up with Heyman as a Yankee cuck? I kind of wanted to find a way to put that into the safe, but it's too funny. It's just too funny that there you go. There's John Heyman looking disheveled as ever. John Heyman is like he's like the baseball equivalent of Grandpa Joe. I just envision him like laying in a bed for like 23 hours a day, and then like somebody comes in and wakes him up and they're like, John, you got to be on MLB Network, and he just rolls out of bed and just fucking pops up. That's what he looks like every time. Dude is like the messiest motherfucker I've ever seen. I was like,
my God.
Yankee cuck. I can't believe he tweeted that. How did we get Gary Cohen saying ruptured testicle on the broadcast, and then Yankee cuck from John Heyman in back to back? That was like 12 hours apart. What did we do to deserve that? That was so good.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Anyway,
too fucking funny.
Back to the baseball, I suppose. Clay Holmes.
Yes.
No
what a segue.
Anyway, so John Heyman said he was a Yankee cuck. It was pretty funny. Clay Holmes. Should he be traded? Is that a new report or an old report?
I did put up on the YouTube side a poll that has 29 votes so far. If you haven't voted, make sure that you do, so we can get an idea of what the chat is feeling. Should the Mets extend or trade Clay Holmes? Two options: extend, proven to work in New York, or trade, get the best offer, and then try to attack in free agency. 62% say extend, while 38% say trade. And I think it's a very interesting stance to have either way. And I was talking with Keith earlier in the day about this and had some thoughts on, Freddy Peralta and Clay Holmes that I mentioned to him. I think an interesting conversation is, what the fan base would really choose between, longer contracts, that being between Peralta and Holmes. And for me, I understand why you shop a Clay Holmes when you're where you are as a team right now. I get it. The market, it's about controlling the market. It's about getting the best returns. I do think that they should package some of these assets together to get a better return. So someone that is of a higher prospect capital or someone that can help you relatively quickly as opposed to a lottery ticket. So instead of having 10 smaller trades to just fill up your farm, maybe have, 4 to 5 trades of multiple guys together to better your overall return. So I get the thought process, and I get that this team money-wise could easily trade a Clay Holmes and then do the Aroldis Chapman thing where like you trade and then you try to sign or whatever, like, because you get the prospect or whatever. Like, I get it. But at the same time, normally I would be 100% on board with that. And I understand. But I just think that Clay Holmes has proven that he can work here. He was well on his way to having a fantastic season out, albeit this freak injury that happens, classic Mets fashion, of course, for it to happen like that. But I think he is a success story under David Stearns. And it's something that makes sense with when you're talking about, I got Nolan McLean, got Christian Scott. Zach Thornton's got 18 scoreless innings. He's looking sharp. There's your lefty replacement for Peterson. Like, we have some upside here. Let's get a vet in there. It's like Clay Holmes. He's shown that he can pitch in New York. He can wear the heavy stripes or the blue and orange of the Mets. And he is someone that can go out there every 5th day and provide for you and provide stability for your front, towards the front end or middle of your rotation, like things that you want when you have a young staff. So I understand wanting to keep him. I want him to stay. We've been talking about extending him. Like, it makes all the sense in the world. I want it to happen. Reports come out today that it's most likely he's going to get dealt away. Of course, you can try to sign him again, but we all know once you go somewhere else, you can be shown a new style of play, a new sense of winning, and you like the place that you end up going, and you might end up staying there. And then you just got rid of something for whatever that return is. You better hope it's a good one. But I'm of the mindset that while I understand trading a Clay Holmes makes all the sense in the world, from a market standpoint, I do wish that they would figure out an extension because I think he helps this team moving forward.
Yeah, look, I agree with pretty much everything you said. We talked about Holmes a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was last week, the week before. I don't remember exactly. And I made a similar case for Holmes and Bichette, where I said these guys fit what the Mets are trying to do. Bichette lines up timeline-wise in terms of a player that you'd want to pair with Soto and the type of hitter that you'd want to pair with Soto. I'd like to see them try to figure out a way to keep him, whether he opts in, whether they turn his deal into a longer deal, whatever, I don't know. And I said something similar about Holmes. I know Ryan Finkelstein was on it. I know Joe DeMayo's been on it. Try to figure out a way to extend him now before you ever think about trading him, before you have to worry about him opting out. I think all of that's true. And, the reporting was from Will Salmon, I believe, Will Salmon and Ken Rosenthal a couple days ago, that he was open to it and they were going to talk about it. And then the reporting from Will Salmon and Ken Rosenthal comes out today that it's sort of the opposite situation. Now he's more likely to be traded. And you always say this, Ibby, there's certain people you could trust. And if Will Salmon's going to say it, that's one where you have to start to listen. Either way. Right. And he says one thing and then he flips and says the other thing a couple days later. That means the information has changed.
Yep.
And so I'm still with you in that I want Clay Holmes to be here. I would like to extend him. I think 3 years, $20 to $25 million per year is something that I would not even blink at. I would even be willing to do something with a fourth year, whether it was a mutual option, a vesting option, whatever. I would be willing to entertain that as well, because I do think that this is a guy who has proven he can be a starting pitcher here, but also proven that he can play in New York with the Mets, with the Yankees. He's not deterred by it. He's come here and he's thrived. And I think there's a lot in that why you'd want to keep him.
You need guys like that.
You need guys like that. Point blank, I agree. And I want him to stay. I do think the report changing within a couple days means one of two things or both. I think it either means the Mets met with Clay Holmes and his people and they cannot agree on value, and or they are getting so many calls on Clay Holmes that they've had to rethink their strategy. They could be talking to teams about Freddy Peralta, and those teams might be saying, yeah, Freddy's cool, but what about Clay? Can we get Clay? What are you doing? Are you trading Clay? Or are you extending Clay? Like, what's going on? And I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive. They could both be happening. One is more understanding than the other from a Mets fan perspective. If teams are going to knock down your door for Clay Holmes and give you an offer you can't say no to, I still would want to keep him, but I understand the logic of trading him. If you can't come together on a deal with Clay Holmes, that makes the Mets look bad. It makes David Stearns look bad because his pitching philosophy, starting pitchers, has not worked. Now, we've defended him. Who else are you going to get? You're going to sign Corbin Burns. He gets hurt. You're going to do this. That guy gets hurt. Sure. There are reasons why the other approach wouldn't work either. But everything he's done with the starting pitching, by and large, has not worked. He got Severino and Minaya on sweetheart deals. They worked out. He let Severino go. He re-upped with Minaya. It didn't work. He brought in all these people. Frankie Montas on a short deal. It didn't work. Griffin Canning, he got hurt. Freddie Peralta, you go out, you trade him. Seems like a no-brainer. It didn't work. Some of it is up on Stearns. Some of it isn't on Stearns. But Ibby, unless Clay Holmes sat down with the Mets, Clay's reps, and said, yeah, we'll do an extension. It's got to be 6 years. That takes the onus off of the Mets, right? If we find out that he wants a 5-6 year contract, that's going to take the onus off the Mets. But I don't think Holmes at this age, at this stage, is doing that.
How old is he?
If you're telling me, he said 33, 32, 33, something like that.
You think it's out of the realm for him to sit there and say, I want 4 years, $100 million?
Well, but to me, I wouldn't say no to that if I was the Mets. To me, I might find a way to make that fourth year non-guaranteed, or I might say, look, we'll give you 3 years, $75 million right now, or we'll give you 4 years, $85 million. We're going to just walk back the AAV a little bit. And, that's negotiating, right? But I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't just say, yeah, if they were like, we want 4 years, $100 million, I'd be like, yes, done, sold. I don't think I'd jump at that. I would jump to do 3 years, 65. I would jump 3 years, 70. You start to get to 25 million AAV. That's when I'm going to have a conversation. If you want that fourth year guaranteed, that's when we're going to negotiate a bit. But I don't think that Clay Holmes is asking for anything beyond 4 years. And I think I think Joe and Connor talked about this on the Mets pod, when your history of acquisitions of pitchers has been so bad, if you're David Stearns, Clay Holmes is like the shining beacon in the night. Don't you want to re-up your positive investment?
I fear, and I see Armand saying that Clay is 33. I fear that they're looking at it, and this isn't the way, not everything should be viewed in the same scope, but I also fear that they're seeing it as, well, we hemmed and we hawed when it came to Minaya. His age, gave him the 3 years, gave him the 70 million, seemed okay at the time, but we outlined the things that could be wrong with that one, and they all ended up, unfortunately, coming to fruition. Until I'm proven otherwise or shown otherwise, I fear that is in the back of their minds, which is why they always pivot off and they think, we got the most juice out of this one. It's time to go on to the next one because we've seen that up until this point, and the one time he steps out of that comfort zone was with Manaea, and it backfired. That's kind of why I fear this. Oh, we got the most out of this. Time to go on to the next.
That's fair because somebody gave me that as a rebuttal. They're like, because my issue was if they're not gonna be interested in re-signing Holmes, it does show a lack of adaptability from Stearns after Cohen praised Stearns' adaptability. And somebody was like, well, couldn't you make the argument that it's showing Stearns is adaptable because the last time he did this, it was Manaea and it didn't work. So he doesn't want to get caught holding the bag twice in a row.
Right.
And I do think that's a fair avenue to look at it from, but also I just think they're two different kinds of pitchers. Like Manaea was a middling guy. He was a starter, a reliever. He was a middle reliever. He was all over the map. He was, in danger of being out of baseball. Like there was a lot of problems with Manaea prior to getting here. They gave him this 1-year prove it deal. With Holmes, they gave him a prove it deal as a starter with the understanding that if this blew up in their face, they were paying proper value for an elite back of the bullpen guy. $12 million a year to close or set up or whatever, knowing they could always fall back to that and no one would look badly for it. The fact that he has been a reliever for so much of his career, I also think you're just getting a little bit more mileage out of the arm. And, Manaea, taking nothing away what he did in 2024, but he had to change the arm slot and he had to pitch like Chris Sale and he had to smoke and mirrors and this, and then the dip in velocity and the elbow and the thing and Clay Holmes isn't doing that. Clay Holmes is a guy who, when he was a reliever, he's throwing hard sinkers. He's a starter. He's throwing hard sinkers. He's still pitching the same way. He's not changing. You know what I mean? To me, I understand why it might make you a little gun shy, but I don't know. I wouldn't. I would give him the deal, and I don't think 4 years would be a deal breaker for me. Again, I'd rather do 3, but I don't think that 4th year would be a deal breaker. If that 4th year could be an option, I would do it. And he probably doesn't want another option because he's sitting with an option now. But maybe you make it be a vesting option or something, and I think that would get the deal done.
I'm assuming, again, I shouldn't assume, but if I'm looking at this, I wouldn't be shocked if he came out and said, I want whatever that number is, but I'm saying years wise, he's probably I want 4 years. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Mets looked at that and said, I don't think you're getting 4 years on the open market. So that's why they end up testing it, because they think it's possible, but they might sit there.
Worse pitchers than him have gotten 4 years at that age.
They might say, we don't think you're going to get 4 years. So we will risk you going out there and then matching if it happens to try to get you back, which again, it's a dangerous game because there's no guarantee, because things change for players. And if he gets traded, he goes to this place and he likes and he wants to re-up there and they like him, whatever. There's a ton of things that can go into this equation after a deal. I'd much rather him stay. I understand, but the return would really matter here in terms of what it does for this team in the year 27 and beyond.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. I would want, look, I'll say this to kind of put a bow on the conversation, because we could probably talk about this just in perpetuity and kind of go back and forth and, attack it from a couple of different angles, say some of the same things. If they trade Holmes, I'm not going to be devastated. Right?
I won't be devastated. I'd be upset because I like him as a ball player, but it's not going to crush me. But I really think, and Joe's here too, I think that while I think he can pull something in by himself, I really think that the Mets' best option to get an actual legitimate prospect back in return that can help is packaging, be it Holmes or Peralta, with Weaver. That's the way I look at it. To get a legitimate, if this team really
disagree.
wants, okay,
I disagree,
and that's fine. I just think that if this team is going to go the route of if they mean what they say, and that is we're going to we plan on competing. 27 is not a rebuild. It's a little bit of retooling. We want guys that are going to help us win now. I think your best course of action is to package players like that to get a legitimate prospect as opposed to two guys that might be able to help you.
Here's where I disagree.
Okay.
I just think you're wrong on who to package with whom.
Okay.
I would certainly entertain packaging a player with a higher value to a player with a lower value and trying to maximize a return in a spot. But I think Weaver and Holmes are the two biggest chips the Mets have to play. And I think those players should be traded on their own because of that. So those two guys, I think with Weaver, you're getting the extra year of control, which I have seen from some folks saying that could be a detriment because teams might not want to pay $12 million for next year or whatever he makes, $11 million. I don't remember. And I understand that too. But I just think Weaver he might be the best reliever that's traded, whether or not San Diego decides to sell, right? If San Diego puts Mason Miller on the block and Adrian Morahone, then yes, Weaver's going to fall down third, fourth, whatever. But there's a chance that he's the best relief pitcher dealt. Now, Clay Holmes probably can't boast that from a starting pitching perspective, but you can do a whole hell of a lot worse than Clay Holmes, especially if Tarek Skubal's not available. And also, not everybody can acquire Tarek Skubal. Even on the prorated contract, it's going to cost you a ton of prospects. It's going to cost you a ton of money. And so, I think that's where teams are going to find value in a guy like Clay Holmes. So I wouldn't package those two together, but I do understand the idea of packaging players together. I would think maybe you package one of the lefty relievers with Freddy Peralta to a team that needs a starter and a reliever. To me, that's something you could do to get a better return. I wouldn't want to muddy the waters on a Luke Weaver return or a Clay Holmes return, because I think both of those guys might be able to get you. And Joe he's still in the comments. He can let me know if I'm wrong, but I think Weaver on his own, especially in a feeding frenzy, and I think Clay Holmes on his own, I think both of those guys can net you a top 100 prospect each.
I mean, I would hope so. It's just I really want something in return that can be like a difference maker. I'm so worried about the buildup of getting a couple of guys like, oh well, if they could, they could become something, which again, that's always the game when it comes to prospect. I understand that, but like I would want something of legitimate pedigree where it's like, wow, like the Mets got this guy and this can help us moving forward. I know Joe's saying here, but what if the legitimate prospect is in single A, which again is also something where I'm also banking on a fast riser in that sense. I have someone in mind that I really want. I've been saying it in our chat for like 2 months now, who I wanted, which maybe the Mets and Cubs. I do want someone like a Josiah Hartshorn, who is an outfielder / first baseman, who's been split in time. He's starting to elevate up lists. He's a guy that's really hitting well this year, has I think he has like an 850 or 860 OPS, 15 home runs, a bunch of RBIs. Like he is a guy, switch hitter. He is a guy that fits, I think, what Stearns would be looking for. And that's a guy that I think has a higher ceiling than someone like a Ryan Clifford, who you have as a first baseman. I think this guy fits a little bit better. But yes, he is an A-ball player, probably going to hit AA next year. Maybe he can rise, but I think it's something of that stature to get the Cubs to, give him up, because he's had such a climb, if you will. But that's what I'm looking at. That's what I want, because I think that this team needs a boost in that sense. And I fear that they're going to have to package some guys more so with, package guys that have the big names and people think they're going to get more just by themselves. But I think you have to put them together.
Joe says, not opposed to packaging in general. It just depends on the situation. I do, Joe, if you're still here, again, like, do you think Weaver and Holmes could net the Mets top 100 prospects each in separate deals? Joe's the resident prospect expert, more so in the New York Mets farm system, obviously, but because of what he does, he's much more connected to folks around the league than I am, or even Ibby, who is more of a prospect guy than I. Ibby, this is an interesting one from Burnt Toast asking, would you use Weaver to dump Senga or Minaya on someone and take back anything? I would not. He's too
I would just
valuable of a
dump
chip
Senga.
cash in.
I would just dump Senga.
Honestly,
I wouldn't do that. No,
I would. Okay, I'll take it in 3 parts. 1, Weaver is too big of an asset at the deadline as a guy who is, 1, having the best year of his career, which always excites people. Relief pitchers always go at the deadline because good teams always want more relief pitchers. If you have a guy who can close, that's going to bump up his value. If you have a guy who's succeeded in playoff games, that's going to bump up his value. If you have a guy who's succeeded in big markets, that's going to bump up his value. So I just think you're diminishing too much of Weaver's value by attaching him to a negative asset. Senga is, as far as the Mets payroll and Steve Cohen is concerned, with 1 year left, $15 million, Ibby, he's DFA-able for me. He's a cut bait with player at the end of the season if you really wanted to. And as far as Minaya goes, I think Minaya is pitching well enough that if you have to have him on your roster, he's an expensive, bloated piece. But like, I'm not going to, depending on what else they do, I'm not going to be like distraught if Sean Minaya is the Mets' 5th starter in 2027 to start the season. I know he's making a lot of money and that's not really the role you want him in, but so I wouldn't attach Weaver to a negative asset. I think you can cut one. I think you could stomach keeping the other one for another season.
I'm not using one of my best chips to just dump something. I think it's very easy to just dump him. If you really don't want him, flex your cash and just say, it's like you said, sunk cost, like forget about it. It's over. Let it go. I don't need to attach something to get rid of him.
Joe saying, I think Weaver could net a top 100-ish prospect. Frankly, if I don't get someone top 100 or not far from it, I keep him. Holmes, I don't really think so, but I think you'll get a good haul for him. Okay, so that's fair. Okay. And I think Joe did say that with regards to Weaver. Now that I just read that, I think he said that on their show, basically saying he'll take somebody who's not top 100, who is like gonna be on the list when everybody redoes their lists after the trade deadline. You know what I mean? Right. Like where it's like, so he's not a top 100 now, but that person is going to be a top 100 in short order, a fast riser, somebody like that you described it.
So Joe, would you agree then on John's side, you would rather them be separate as opposed to putting those two together? Like I said, I'm just curious on your thought process on that.
While Joe takes an opportunity to answer that, Ibby, I do want to bring up something that I talked about on Mets Daily. Ryan Finkelstein talked about on Locked on Mets. Joe and Connor talked about on the Mets pod. There is this thought that the Milwaukee Brewers need, the Milwaukee Brewers need pitching.
Yes.
That's not the thought. That is fact.
Yes.
Woodruff is out. What's the other guy's name who always escapes me, who's out for the year also? It'll come to me. It's his name starts with a Q.
Quinn Priester.
Thank you. Yes, Quinn Priester. Yes. So Woodruff is out. Priester's out. Harrison has been out. Is probably coming back, but has been out for a while.
A little banged up. Yeah.
We saw Logan Henderson pitch really well today, but he was also a little banged up. Had like forearm cramping. Even Mizorowski, as great as he is, and he might win the Cy Young this year, probably should win the Cy Young. I know we got a lot of baseball left to play, but whatever. He was dealing with those fatigue issues and stuff like that. They're going to need a pitcher. Freddy Peralta makes a lot of sense for Milwaukee. Now, he makes a lot of sense for other places. He does. He does make sense for other places too. They're going to look at him as a reclamation project. They're going to look at him as a guy with over 5 ERA. Some places will probably say, hey, he's a guy who has got the Mets stink on him, and it's just been a bad year. But I think if you're a team like the Braves and you trade for Peralta, you have to sell that to your fan base. Why is he going to move the needle? He's bad. You've beaten him. Braves fans have seen him up close with the Mets. Like, how do you sell that? If you're the Brewers, you can sell it. Hey, he's our guy. We're bringing back our guy. We got the best out of Peralta.
And he's going to be that guy again once he goes back.
He's going to be that guy again. Now, maybe he's not, but that's what they're going to do, right? That's what they're going to sell. And there's a better PR there. Now, the conversation that has happened is this Peralta, Myers, Sproat, Williams trade has not really worked out for any parties involved.
Correct.
Every single player has basically gotten worse. Both teams have not gotten what they needed out of any of the four guys, with the exception of maybe Sproat looking good in his last few outings before the Mets outing. And the fact that Sproat has saved the Brewers rotation because he's just a healthy, viable arm. Now, you're never going to get back both guys that you traded for Peralta. They're not going to want Tobias Myers back. We understand that. The Brewers are probably not going to trade you Brandon Sproat because he is the sexier name in that he's the perfect guy. They don't play in the top end of starting pitching markets and free agency. He's a guy with tons of control, with good stuff. They're going to sit there and they're going to say, we can mold Brandon Sproat. We're going to hang on to Brandon Sproat. In 2 years, he can be a different pitcher. Next year, he could be a different pitcher, whatever. My question becomes a long-winded way of saying, would you trade Freddy Peralta back to the Milwaukee Brewers for Jet Williams straight up? I know you like Jet Williams, so try to take that bias aside.
I was joking the other day because in the Mets Weekly chat, and I was like, I want that trade to happen just because it'd be so hysterical to have Brett Beatty remain and Jet Williams to return, as Carson just says no. Look, in terms of put it this way, in terms of what we were talking about before, in terms of depth, in terms of being able to move off of certain things, finally, that could be your avenue of saying no more Brett Beatty. We can put Jet Williams in second base. Instead, like, there are ways to make it work. Obviously, people thought that when the Semien trade, him coming in was blocking Jet Williams, and of course, Jet was dealt, a handful of weeks later, so it was a moot point. But I think it makes sense to an extent. I think it does. I think I was always curious as to why the Brewers wanted Jet when they had so much in their farm system, whether it was Jesus Mate and Luis Pena, and they extended Cooper Pratt, who hit a home run off the Mets the other day. And they also had
Bryce Terang and Joey Ortiz. Like, they don't
Bryce
need
like, they have a
infielders.
lot of guys. Actually, it was a Jersey Mike's to give. I befriended Jet at a Jersey Mike's, but still, I did. But no, I think it's something that it could be on the table. It'd be hilarious because, like, just revisiting something and then just giving essentially the same trade back. But I wouldn't be against it. But I don't know how likely it would be. If anything, I wouldn't be shocked if the Brewers try to give back something lesser to get Peralta back, so they basically, make out like bandits, if you will, by, eventually getting Peralta back while still keeping the two players.
That's the tricky part. I said there's a PR standpoint here with the Brewers where they could sell their fan base. And it's not about selling the fan base. It's about winning baseball games, right? But they could sell their fan base on, Peralta. You've seen Peralta. You know Peralta. He's our guy. We got him. He'll be good now. The Mets, it's about getting proper value in these trades. It's about getting the best value you can. There is a PR situation for the Mets too. You can't trade Peralta back to the Brewers for significant. I'm not saying you have to trade him back for the player that you gave up, but you can't trade him back for significantly less, because your David Stearns is going to look like a moron. It's going to look like you gave up 2 top 100 prospects for a pitcher you thought was going to be an ace, or your ace, not an ace in the league, but your number one. That guy then pitched so badly for you that it was partially responsible for tanking your season. Once your season went in the tank, he then continued to pitch so badly that he destroyed his own value to the point where you had to trade him back to a team that's trying to win a World Series, and they kept the 2 prospects that you traded them. You can't sell that. That's impossible to sell. So it doesn't have to be Jet Williams. It's just, to your point, they're not going to be able to take somebody back that's lesser than. You know what I mean? Which you never know. You don't know what these prospects are going to be. But if you're the Brewers and you're like, well, we want to give them back something that's less than Jet Williams because of where Peralta is now, the Mets, from an optics standpoint, I don't know can do that. So I think they're probably just more likely to trade Peralta to a different team so that you don't have to deal with that PR nightmare. But it's just something to consider, because I think on the surface, when you talk about the depth in the infield of the Brewers, their need for pitching, their desire to not spend a lot of money on pitching or players in general, the fact that the Mets need infield prospects again, the fact that the Mets don't have anybody that fits the Jet Williams mold that's close, maybe Mitch Voit, but he's a couple of years away. You start to understand how this swap does make sense from a pure baseball standpoint. I just don't know if you're the Mets, if you want to go down that rabbit hole. I think you might want to do what Joe said here, which is, I hope the Rays trade for Peralta. I just want a piece from that farm system. Obviously, one of the better farm systems year over year.
Yeah, let's go for Boyle. Let's run with that one, Joe. I don't know if you're a fan of his, but the stuff is ridiculous. But he can't throw strikes. And if the Rays can't figure him out, then maybe he's not worth figuring out. But that's an interesting one also.
Joe saying, I'd keep both of those separate, meaning Weaver and Holmes.
Right.
Packaging Rayleigh or Minter or Brazoban makes sense. I see your point of view, Ibby, but I still don't think it gets you somebody as good as the guy that you think it's going to get you. Sorry. Sorry. You're not going to.
I wanted him. I want him so badly.
According to Joe.
I know.
When you acquire prospects, you just get who you think the best guys you can get are. You don't worry about where they play. That will always work itself out. I agree with that. I do. You're trying to get best player available, things like that.
And I followed up to it. It's also just, it's capital. So when you have an excess of something, you can just deal from that because you have other players. That's true. That's correct.
I just think that I think the Peralta Brewers, Jet Williams, Mets conversation is just fun in a unique sort of way, because you don't worry about it. You just want to get the best asset back. But I just think that with Jet having a diminished year in AAA and Peralta having a diminished year, both of those players' values taking a hit, you just see the fit. There's a line that you can draw where you're like, I mean, it makes sense. Yeah. Stupider things have been done, but I don't know that that's what's going to happen. And I don't know that that's what should happen. But it's a fun conversation to have nonetheless. Joe saying, I'll let someone else have Boyle, but I got a laundry list of Rays prospects that I like. Carson, bring back Jet and Grandma spends the rest of her life in the cage. Ibby, is there anything we didn't get to today that you want to, on the scroll at the bottom, I guess we could spend a couple minutes on this. The Mets' ability to control the trade market as it gets right to the center of our screen, I think is something we can touch on that we didn't really get to in earnest.
No, I think that's again, we're going to watch that play out over the next week or so. And it goes back to what we're just talking about, like me talking about packaging players and trying to better the returns. But again, the market is what's going to dictate that and how aggressive teams are going to be. Are teams going to be legit buyers, or are we going to get more ridiculous things being said by, I know you poked fun at it, but or someone poked fun at it, like the Pirates saying how we want to get better, but we don't want to take on any money. It's like, all right, man, what the hell are you talking about?
You know what would fix that, Ibby, if you get a salary cap.
Salary cap would fix that.
Salary cap will fix that. It'll make Bob Nutting a good owner, and it'll make the Pirates a competent baseball team. Is real.
Yeah, but no, I just think that when I wrote that down, I think that it's about being smart, making sure that you are maximizing it. The point I was making was packaging things to better the return. If that's the only route, please don't avoid that route and settle for less because you're getting more. Don't settle for quantity over quality. I'd push for the quality if that's the way the market goes. If the market ends up going where, hey, you can get a top 100 guy for Luke Weaver, you can get a near top 100 guy for Clay Holmes and AJ Minter. It's okay. So it's basically just saying my plead to David Stearns and the Met front office of it's a seller's market. Like, you should be selling. You should be aggressive in your selling, and you clearly are or plan to be, because you've already put guys out there and saying that, like, we're not waiting until the deadline. Just please, please, please don't fuck up this layup.
I do think when you talk about controlling the trade deadline, the Mets are in a uniquely envious position, despite the fact that they are so bad, or rather because they're so bad, Ibby. The National League is excellent. The American League is a cluster bus. There's just so much going on. So many teams are still in it. And the gift and the curse of the expanded playoff format and the third wild card is that teams are in it later, and they're not sure if they want to buy or they want to sell. Now, some of these teams are going to have to make up their minds kind of on the fly, because they're going to have assets and they're going to have to say, okay, God, maybe we should buy because we could be competitive, but like, realistically, could we beat the Dodgers? Maybe not. So maybe we should be smart and we should sell. Or can we even beat, I don't know, the Yankees? I don't think the Yankees are that good, but can we beat the Yankees in the AL, right? Are we good enough to step up and make it through the AL? And if the answer is no, if you've got a player on your roster that can net you a ton, you might need to sell off, even though you're above 500 or in a playoff position or near a playoff position. I should say, not in one, because I think if you're in one, it's a little trickier to do. But anyway, with the Mets, part of being so bad is that they're selling. And they were expected to be pretty good, and they spent money on players, so they have things to sell. And that is a way that you can control this market. You could say, we got Clay Holmes. We got Freddy Peralta. You don't want Freddy? That's fine. We'll trade you Clay. Clay's going to cost you more, but we'll do it. You know, you want relievers? We got relievers. What do you need, a lefty? We got two. We'll talk. You want a controllable reliever? We got Huascar Braziban. We got Luke Weaver. Which way you want to go? You want to pay more money but less commitment for Luke Weaver? Do you want to take a flyer with Braziban? He's cheaper, but he's old. Which way do you want to go? You know, like, so you can kind of dictate how you position yourself. So I think in that sense, they're in a really, really good spot. I do want to bring this up because some talk has been there. Armand saying Baseball America ranked the Rays farm system second behind the Brewers. So when you talk about dealing with the Rays, this is a new commenter who's been active. It's new from NHP. Welcome. Maybe you trade Holmes to Milwaukee. They have 9 top 100 prospects. I want in on that farm too, but I don't think you go back down the Peralta Milwaukee rabbit hole. That's a good one. If you're going to trade both guys, maybe you don't worry about saving face and you just trade Holmes to Milwaukee. Maybe you trade Peralta to Tampa or whatever. Armand saying trade predictions on next year's show.
Yes.
Next show, excuse me.
And then you got
next year. We'll do it next year. Next year.
You got Joe coming here saying mock trades next week. And, you know, shout out to Armand. He gave a great idea. So we can say this right now. I didn't even say this to John yet. I didn't get a chance to.
You motherfucker.
But it was a good idea. Like we often do. And we'll put something out prior too. Like we do when it comes to bold predictions, and people send stuff into us and we play them on the show to give everyone their shine. If you got some trade predictions that you want to put out there, please send it to us at the show. Make it a 30 to 45 second clip, whatever you want it to be. And then we'll put it on the show and we'll talk about it. And we'll try to come back next week with some of our own mock trades as well.
Thanks for the call. I was just going to do the whole show in Fred Sessa cosplay next week. Okay. Thanks for the call.
Who's Al Albuquerque? No.
Okay. Calling from New Mexico. Okay. I mean, so you're a clown. You're calling in. You wait on hold for 3 hours to do this. I mean, don't you have a life? Okay. I mean, come on. What are we doing, Maz? Come on.
Yeah, what are you doing, Maz?
No, that is a good idea. We should do that. We should do the mock trade.
I like that one. It's good.
So yes, Ibby said it. No longer than 45 seconds. If you can keep it closer to 30, that's better. Send in a video. Send it landscape. Not portrait
so
would be better. So it fills the screen, because it'll just take the place of us. Sort of like when we bring up like our sponsor stuff, it'll fill the whole screen. So landscape will be better. And you can send it to what's our email?
I think it's just a show name at Gmail.
It is. It's
Yeah.
Til Mets Do Us Part at gmail.com, but we'll put that out on social media. We'll put it in the comments for this video or something like that.
Yeah.
We'll take your mock trades. Okay. I mean, everybody thinks they're GM. Okay. They want to get rid of Cashman. Okay. Cash has done a good job. All right. Cash is okay. You know, you got the Yankees win every year. Okay. We know the Yankees are going to make the playoffs. Okay. Now they're going to win. I don't know. Okay. I'm not sure. The Mets. What are you going to do with the Mets? Okay. They're the Mets.
No thanks. My bold prediction has to be forgotten. Oh my God.
What was his bold prediction? I forgot.
It had to have been something with. It had to have been something with Luis Robert. It has to.
Oh, it was. I think I said Luis Robert was going to hit 30 home runs and win a Gold Glove, Joe. So it's fine.
I never said that. Okay.
I never said that. Okay. I never.
Maz,
okay.
Maz,
come on. I mean, what are we doing here? You know, I got these guys working. Turn my mic on.
We're over here. We're gonna tweak the Mets. We're gonna tweak the Mets.
We're gonna tweak. Okay. I like. Okay, I don't know Steve Cohen. Okay, I never met Steve Cohen. I never interviewed. I'd like to have him on the show. Okay, you know, we'll see if Bet Rivers could get him on the show. Okay, but you know, I knew Fred Wilpon. Okay, I like Fred. Fred's he's a good man. You know, his son Jeff. I'm not sure. You know, okay, but you know, when the Wilpons were in charge, I knew a little bit of what was going on. I don't know David Stearns. Okay, I never heard of him. I don't know him. I don't know Steve Cohen. I watched Billions. Billions is a good show. Okay. I can't. I never said that. It's so good. Okay. Ibby, we should get out of here.
We should.
It's been 2 hours. This has been fun. I have to feed my dog. I have to feed my cat. I have to walk my dog. I got things to do. Yeah, anything we missed? Anything you want to bring? I said Ryan Lambert would be the second most valuable reliever on the Mets by season's end.
I was high on Lambert too.
He might be, Joe.
Yeah, you still got a shot,
if
Joe.
they trade Weaver and they trade Brazabon,
but he's been having a rough
Minter,
year, though. He's been having a rough year.
Yeah, but just by default, you know, most valuable reliever based on the fact that the Mets suck and they're not playing games of importance.
Yeah.
Possible. Very possible. Ibby, I think I'm going to commit. I think I am going to do the show as Princessa next week.
Gotta get a white wig.
Me and Fred, the same surgeon.
Billions. Based on a true story. True story.
Oh, Jesus. True story. True story.
No, it's not true. It's fiction.
True story. Michael. God damn it. I miss those two motherfuckers, man. I miss
the hilariousness of all the videos that I forgot their names. I always like giving credit, but Big Action Bill would do Mike and the other guy would do Chris, and they would post things on YouTube, and it was like him doing Chris Russo, but he was like he was interviewing Benito Mussolini. He's like, Benito, I know your shop is a whip. It's Chris Russo. You're truly WFAN. Is it true you get mozzarella cheese stuck in your mustache? And then he goes, I don't have a mustache. And then it's just a picture of him, and he's like, I don't have a mustache.
It's just the fucking Michael.
It's just a picture of him like this. Michael.
Oh God. Yes, this is Joe. I don't think you were here when we talked about this the other day. It's one of the best clips. Ben Affleck plays blind superhero. True story.
Crime fighter named Daredevil. True story.
True story.
It's fiction. It's fiction.
I feel Mike, like that was like right at the peak of their hatred for each other too. I feel like Mike wanted it, like took everything in his being not to be like, no, you stupid motherfucker. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Oh my God.
Doug. I said blind crime fighter, Doug. Blind. Can't see. Vision impaired, Doug. Okay. Okay, let's leave. This has been a fun show. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast. Comment away, even though we're going to be out of here. Leave reviews, leave ratings, all that stuff helps us. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you didn't like. If you didn't like anything, let us know that too. It helps. It helps us be better. We're probably not going to change, but we'll do what we do. And
we'll try.
We'll do our best each and every single week. I'm John. That's Ibby. This is Til Mets Do Us Part, live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Substack. Until next week. Peace.